Hello, guys. Welcome back to this usual live streaming here on Our Rise Your Rise. I'm ready to analyze, to tell you my thoughts regarding this other incredible episode 26 or 85 of this fourth season of Shingeki no Kyojin. Before starting analyzing, really quick 30 seconds, I just want to say that um, we have two episodes left. So, of course, it's pretty obvious now that they can't adapt the entire story. I mean, we are going to see the end of this story mm, really soon. But it's not going to happen right now. So, this part two is going to reach a specific moment. Hello, Angie Zoe. Hello, I really like you. It's going to reach a part of the story, and then the end will happen later. We don't know what's going to happen, but recently, I mean, yesterday, if you followed the community section, I was writing that, for example, just 30 seconds and then I will start definitely. But just for example, Magia Rekodo, that is the side story of Madoka Magica, is going ahead with the final season. But this final season will be in one day, and there will be four episodes in a row in order to reach the end of the story. So this can happen even with the Shingeki no Kyojin. I mean, if they decide to end this story altogether in one special episode, in which there will be four or five episodes in a row, as you can see, it's possible. So never say never. There are still two episodes left. That one of next Sunday. Then there will be a break of 1 week, and the end will be. I mean, the end of this part two will be on April the 3rd. So let's see what's going to happen because there will be an announcement, of course, at the end of the last episode 87 or episode 29. Let's see. Let's see. Not 28, 28, sorry, because this is 26. So at the end of episode 28 or 87, we are going to see something for sure, definitely. I just want to remind you that on the 27th of March, there will be this special event during Anime Japan regarding Shingeki no Kyojin. It's the only event, from what I know, that is lasting 1 hour instead of 30 minutes. Don't expect the announcement over there because these happened even I mean last year. Yes, I'm still in Japan. Yeah, it's really early. It's 7 to 10 in the morning. I'm starting a little bit earlier because later I have to go to work. So, but yeah, I still live in Japan. um, and what was I saying? Yeah, the 27th of March, there will be Anime Japan. There will be a station dedicated, I mean, a stage dedicated to Shingeki no Kyojin. But please don't expect anything over there. I mean, don't expect that there will be an announcement over there because there's going to be the announcement on the 3rd of April, not the week before. Do you understand what I mean? So they will just analyze and talk about the part two that is going to finish. But as for what happened last year, they are not going to announce anything. Also, because if you remember, last year, part one was about to finish the same day, but they were not announcing anything. So please don't expect anything. And then, if they are going to tell you something in particular, then it's something else. I mean, if they are going to show you a key visual or something like that, always regarding part two is one thing. But please don't create expectations. Don't think, oh, there will be the trailer of the movie. no, because we still don't understand if there will be a movie or not. So definitely there's going to be something, but we need to understand what exactly. Okay, before starting, other 30 seconds just to tell you that these are just my thoughts. Of course, if you have other thoughts, good for you. But don't try to change my mind because I just wanted to go with the flow. I wanted to follow this story with my impressions without these impressions being contaminated by other thoughts of other people. If you have other thoughts, that's not a problem. I respect all of your opinions and thoughts, but actually, these are my thoughts and I'm working on them. So just listen to them if you want. If you don't agree with them, it's fine, but just don't change my mind because it's not going to happen. I am pretty stubborn as a personality. So even if you try to change my mind, if I don't agree, I don't agree. So, anyway, and let's start the analysis of this incredible episode, another incredible episode finished last week. And I have to say that I don't agree with all the people who are saying that these episodes are just boring or these episodes are not including anything important in the story. No, totally the contrary. I mean, I think that with these episodes, Isayama is proving that you don't need battles necessarily to create the great story. I think that even dialogues, even things that are matching with the previous seasons, that are creating a loop and whatsoever, are simply incredible and are pretty effective because they are just creating a great stuff and that's why even this episode was full of remindings of the previous seasons. I really like that. I think that it's pretty coherent at this point, and all the people who are saying no, this story is no more coherent. It was better if they did something else. Maybe it could be true, but I think that there is not one moment in which this story is not coherent. I think that all these stories are pretty coherent, and it depends if you are just going to catch all the things that happened during this story to understand the coherence. People who are saying that it's coherent, I agree with them. And people who are saying that this is a great story, I agree with them, of course. But let's jump right into this episode. I don't think this live streaming will last long because there are not so many things to say, but these things that has to be said are pretty important. So let's start immediately. Okay, so the episode starts with this if I look down, of course, it's because I have my notes. I don't want you to skip anything, as always. But the episode starts with this connection between Hanji and Magath. That they are discussing about what to do because actually, you know that right now there are the Jaegerists in the port and they have to find a way to reach Eren, right? But at the same time, I like that in this moment, Megath and Hanji they are discussing about the possibility of a lost technology with the mission itself. That means that they have to stop Eren anyway. Yes, you and Megath, yes. I like the way in which Hanji is pretty logical, as always. I mean, her mind is above all the others, in my opinion. And she is definitely taking into account all the probabilities, all the possibility that something can happen. And at the end of the day, this was a great interaction because we are getting in touch with this lost technology that can be a probability actually, and that can affect the island too. And we are going to see the same subject when Flock is talking with Kiyomi Azumabito. So I think that once they have gained so many new info right now, it's also a big deal to think, this can be a problem in the future, because if we are going to lose the possibility to reach Eren thanks to this flying boat, what do we do? I mean, these Jaegerists mm, are contrasting us because they don't want us to reach Eren, of course. But if they are going to delete this possibility with the flying boat, we have to find another way. And it's pretty hard because right now the rumbling is going ahead. And we know that it's reaching already the other side of the shore. So it's a matter of time. You definitely see, even in this episode, how time is flying, and the possibilities to reach Aaron are decreasing instead of increasing. So even the tension is raising, definitely. But I really like this moment in which Megath and Hanji are talking, because we have never expected a dialogue like this between the two before. And this makes you understand that it's never too late to communicate. It's never too late to find an agreement or a way to discuss about something. So while in the previous season everything was so impossible, I'm talking about part one, of course. Sorry, it's always part of a season four, but part one. During part one, it was definitely impossible to communicate between the two sides. But the more we go on, the more we see that actually it's possible, and we saw it definitely in the previous episode. So that's why I think that this is pretty coherent, because they spilled out everything in the previous episode. They spilled out the anger, the anxiety, the frustration, the fears, whatsoever. So now it's different. I mean, the previous episode was definitely telling you that there was no need of weapons in order to communicate. And right now, they are talking normally as if they made a step forward. So this is pretty interesting. But then the scene is moving to the Titans, because still Megath and Hanji are talking about this, and they think that they need this flying boat because, or and no, not just the flying boat, but they need a way to defeat the Jaegerists because they are controlling the port. So what to do? Because they have lots of Titans right now on their sides, and that's true. But is it enough or not? We are going to discover it later. When we jump right into the other scene, we see that Annie is definitely telling them that there's no other choice rather than kill all the Jaegerists. And instantly speaking, you see that Connie doesn't agree with this, of course, because he changed. You needed to remember that Connie, I mean, the episode in which Connie redeemed himself about what he was trying to do with Falco, and he was making a sort of promise in front of Armin, that promise matters. I mean, the fact that even against Annie, he's saying, no, I don't want to kill everybody. It confirms the fact that there is this promise that is simply important, that no matter what's going to happen at the end of the episode, that this was a moment that we can't describe right now, but we have to wait a little bit. But I think that Connie, when Annie is saying something like this and he's saying, no, I disagree, I totally disagree, he's pretty coherent with what he wanted to do 2 episodes ago. So I think that it's not something incoherent. As much as Mikasa, who wants to save the Azumabito, many people are criticizing this because they are saying, oh, Mikasa, come on, you didn't even care about the Azumabito before. Right now, why do you want to save these people? you needed to remember that anyway. This is a, I mean, Mikasa is a descendant from them. So she has never said, I wanted to kill the Azumabito. She just said in part one, at the end of part one, she was just saying that she didn't like the fact that she had to leave a paradise and leave her friends in paradise while she could have been rescued instead. That's the only thing she said. But she has never said, "Oh, I hate the Kiyomi Azumabito. I don't want to save her in the case that there has to be the chance to save her and whatsoever." No, she was just explaining Kiyomi that she was living in paradise since she was born, and so it was a pointless for her to leave all her friends, leave Eren, leave all the situation in part one that was happening just because she had to be rescued. That's the only thing she said. So the fact that she wants to rescue her, it's not incoherent. It's just a part of her ancestors, and she can't deny that she's coming from them. So even look, do you remember, okay, later Annie doesn't agree with what Mikasa is saying, because she's saying, look, they are just your ancestors, but to me they are enemies. Then the Peak is saying, no, Annie, you're wrong, it's better if we don't kill them, because they have a great technology, they have a great mechanics, they have great engineers, so they can help us in the future and even now. So it's wrong to kill all the Azumabito plus, I mean, Kiyomi plus the engineers. And I think that Peak is right, definitely. Also, because we are still talking about this lost technology and this probability. But you needed to remember, you needed to focus on the fact that um, in the moment Mikasa is talking about the Azumabito, and in the meantime, Annie doesn't want to do so. She is touching here. That is where she has this sort of a tattoo, or this sort of a mark that is explaining where she's coming from. And you need to remember that at that time, Mikasa's mom was telling her, look, remember to show this symbol, to show what you have here, even to your kids in the future. So that's why I'm saying I think that Mikasa didn't agree with Kiyomi when she was saying that thing, but definitely she is not avoiding the fact that she is also descending from the Azumabito, from the Hizuru clan, from the Hizuru population. So you needed to remember this, that Mikasa definitely, if she will have a baby boy or a baby girl, no matter what she will have, and that baby boy seems Eren. Yes. Okay, that was just a John's dream about. It makes sense. But anyway, if she will have a baby boy or a baby girl, she will definitely transmit to the future generation, to her future generation, the fact that they are coming from Azumabito, they are coming from Hizuru. So I think that Mikasa will do that in the future. She will never regret to be part of Izuru, or she will never avoid the possibility for the new generation, from for her new baby boy or her new baby girl, to know what her mother told her to do. That means go ahead with the descendants. Um, I mean, this makes you understand that Mikasa's mother's words are still important, no matter what. Otherwise, she would have not touched here. And look, even the people, I open a bracket really quick, but even the people who are condemning Mikasa and her behavior, I don't understand these people. I mean, in my opinion, Mikasa is having a great development as a character, and she's not a good for nothing. She's just discovering what to do by herself. And she is like a baby girl who's starting her new life without the parent. In this case, the parent could be Eren, but it's like a new journey for her. And as I was telling you in the previous analysis, it takes time. So Mikasa suddenly found herself without any important person next to her, except for Armin, definitely. But I'm talking about the family concept that means Eren. So you need to put yourself in her position, and if you suddenly lose this member of your family that is essential for your life, then you need to start everything from zero. You need to grow by yourself, to explore your feelings more than ever. And I think that Mikasa is doing this. Before reaching the moment in which she will kill Eren, she has to find her own independence. She has to be ready to still love Eren, but detach herself from him somehow. That is not just something physically speaking, even mentally speaking. But this, I remind you, this doesn't mean that she will never love him even after his death. Definitely the contrary. It's just a process that she needs in order to survive when Eren will not be there physically anymore with her. So Mikasa is having a great development of character. So people who are saying the contrary, I simply don't understand them. Um, then John, John, another great character. John doesn't want to kill the Jaegerists. We all know now what John thinks and how John is, and I definitely admire him. I love the fact that John always wants to find a compromise, to find a solution without killing people. Um, and in fact, they are saying, no, I don't want to kill the Jaegerists, also because inside of these Jaegerists group, there are also our friends. And you all know how important friendship is for John. And he definitely showed us this in the previous episode. But Annie keeps going ahead. She's asking, especially one person, she's asking Armin's plan. She's asking to Armin what he thinks that it's good to do. And let's say that Annie is provoking Armin because she's saying, Armin, tell me your plan as much as you created a plan to go to corner me. These, when she's saying something like this, you immediately understand that there will be a great connection with the season one or season two or season three. I mean, there will definitely be a connection with what happened in the past. And to be honest, I think that what Annie told him right now was a great inspiration for the plan he was planning later with the Samuel and the Daz. I think that it's thanks to Annie somehow that he could remember how to do things, and Armin got inspired to do what he was going to do next. Yeah, so I think that Annie played a great role here because you see that Armin at the beginning he doesn't know what to do. I mean, he is a little bit concerned about how to go ahead with this, but as soon as Annie told him this sentence, later you see that Armin had a plan, and actually the result is that he was following the same exact plan that he used with Annie. So what Annie said, it was a great help, in my opinion. So they reach a point in which they have to decide what to do because there's no turning back. They can't stay in the middle. It's too easy to do something like this. They have to choose. And you know that when you choose something, thanks to your free will, you will never know if you're about to do something good or something wrong. It depends on the consequences of your actions. But before the actions, you don't know the consequences, of course. So when they have to decide, I mean, they have two choices. They can kill the Jaegerists and they can go ahead with their project and their mission. This project is even bigger than the lives of these Jaegerists, or they spare the Jaegerists, but they lose the mission they have. So this is an important decision because no matter what they are going to decide, the things can change and they will change definitely. So it's it's like as if you reach the end of the street and this street is switching, I mean, is dividing itself into two paths. You know that one path will never take you to the other one. And this is an important moment in this episode. So Connie, once again, is shouting and he's expressing his will to not kill the Jaegerists because they are friends, but second of all, because he is underlining what he was saying 2 episodes before. He is saying, we are here to save people, not to kill them, okay? So, definitely, Connie's intentions are coherent till this moment, till the moment in which you see that he keeps pushing himself by confronting all the others and say, no, look, I devoted my new self to something good, not to something bad once again. And then Annie is saying, okay, you're not forced to do something like this. I mean, actually, Annie, I like her because even if she's provoking, even if she's saying many things that can be um, said on purpose just because she has to, yeah, to provoke, to trick, or to mm, put these people under pressure, but at the same time she's saying legal stuff, she's saying things from a mature point of view, because Annie, we know how Annie grew, and for her 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's impossible that there is another way to see things. So I like when she's saying all those things, but at the same time, I like even when she's saying, "Okay, you're not forced to do something you don't want to do," or even in the previous episode when she was confronting Mikasa, and then she understood that it was better to stop that conversation because it was getting problematic. So I know I really like when Annie understands when there's a limit, when she can't go over that limit. And in fact, she is saying this, but then she's also saying, I imagine that you would have never broken those walls at that day. And in the moment Annie is saying this thing, you see that Reiner is looking somewhere. I mean, he's still thinking about what Eren told him. That means you and I are the same. And at that time in part one, we were thinking that Eren was saying something like this because he was talking about the things they experienced, that they could have been the same, as much as the pain they felt throughout the years, the fact that they had the titans in common. I mean, the fact that they were both used as weapons, because you remember that even Eren was used in the previous seasons to close the breach, to close this wall, to have like a sort of confidence. I mean, Paradise was sure that they could win because they ended the Shingeki no Kyojin. So, as you can see, at the beginning in part one, when there was that discussion between Reiner and Eren, we thought something like this. We thought, okay, Eren is saying that they are the same because they are the two sides of the same coin, etc., etc. But what Reiner here is thinking, thanks to Annie's words, as always, look, Annie is pretty essential at this point of the story, because every time she's talking, she's helping these characters to see different points of view, different perspectives. So I think that at the end of the day, without Annie, maybe things would have been different in this part. I mean, so Reiner, yeah, hearing what Annie was saying, understood that what Eren was telling him was that they are the same, because no matter what's going to happen, no matter how these can turn really bad, they are the same because they are ready to do the impossible to protect the people they love, no matter if these can um, can seem as if Eren is going to the wrong side or not, or as much as what Reiner did could take Reiner on the wrong side instead of the good side. But the purpose that is also the reason why um, both Reiner and Eren are doing did in the case of Reiner and what Eren is doing right now makes you understand that the purpose is more important than the consequences. I mean, the purpose matters, even if these can turn into something really bad. We all know what Eren is doing and why he's doing this, as much as we understand why Reiner broke that wall that day and the reason why he did something like this. So, as you can see, even Annie in the previous episodes, when there was her background story, she was telling Hitch, look, if what I did helped me to reach my father or to save my father, if I could go back in time, I would have done it once again. So the fact that even Annie is not redeeming herself for what she did so far makes you understand that Annie, Reiner, and Eren, they have, or even Bertold at this point, they had so many things in common, no matter what. And that's why Eren, that they said, look, me, you and I, Reiner, we are the same. Because no matter how much it takes or what does it take, to protect the people we love, we are ready to do even the worst things ever. And in fact, Eren attacked Liberio at that time as much as Reiner broke the wall in episode 1 or episode 2. So, as you can see, now finally Reiner, but also we, are understanding what Eren wanted to say at that day. Because it could have been both things. I mean, what I told you previously, but also what Reiner is thinking. This he's thinking right now. So once again, Reiner is ready to get the responsibility of everything that is about to happen. Let me tell you, I really like Reiner because throughout this season, in particular season 4, we got in touch with a new, it seems that, yeah, we are getting in touch with a new character, something that we have never expected before. And I really like the way in which Reiner is developed as a character here, because the more we get in touch with his background story and the evolution of what he became, I also like to see that he is always ready to sacrifice himself for the sake of others. This is a great quality that Reiner has, as much as Eren has the same quality, and that's why they're the same. But I like the way in which Reiner, no matter now the sides, no matter the people, he is always ready to take his responsibility, to feel guilty for what he did, to recognize his mistakes, and to accept the pain that other people are feeling, because he also felt the pain throughout all his life. So let's say that Reiner is empathetic as a character, and I really like him, as much as every time that everything is happening, Reiner is always there to protect everybody. He was protecting Zeke in episode 1 of season 4, part 1. He's protecting Gabi all the times. He's protecting Falco all the times. He's protecting even Annie. Yes. I mean, definitely. He is also taking all the punches from John, and he's not angry at him at all. I really like the way in which Reiner is understanding what's going on, and he is not avoiding everything that happened in the past. And that's really admirable. Um, but then, I mean, it's, yeah, it seems as if Reiner wants to protect everybody now from the same pain he felt when he broke the wall at that time, as much as when he was a traitor. We are going to reach the meaning of the title really soon. That I think that it's really effective, to be honest. It's a great title as always. Um, but yeah, it's like as if once again Reiner wants to sacrifice himself for the sake of these people who are actually anyway his friends, because Even if Reiner comes from the other side of the ocean, you need to remember all the time he spent with them and how comfortable, how great he felt in Paradise, and how he's still considering them as friends. I'm pretty sure of this. Um, so when you hear Annie always saying, "Oh no, in our case it's our enemy" and stuff like that, Reiner is never talking about this. I mean, he is never saying that somebody in Paradise is his enemy, or that even the Jaegerists are enemies. Always Annie is talking. He's never talking about this. He's never putting these attacks on people. So that's why I still believe that in Reiner's point of view, Paradise is a great piece of his heart. Yeah, and it will always be like this. I still don't know if Reiner will survive or not, but if I could give him the chance to survive, I would have done so. I mean, I hope that Reiner can survive. If he can't, no matter what, he was a great character. But then when Annie is saying something like this, I mean, even Reiner, when he says that they are going to do so, I mean, they are going to kill the Jaegerists for them because they can't force them to do something they don't want. Hanji, he's appearing okay once again, but she's saying something coherent at the same time. She is another type of character that is not avoiding what happened in the past. And she's saying, "No, look, I did it already. I mean, I killed already some Jaegerists, so it would be incoherent for me now to say, no, I can't kill other Jaegerists because it's something bad. Yes, it's bad, but also the fact that even Connie by saying, "No, we are here to rescue people instead of kill them." Yes, it's true. But if you wanted to clean your consciousness right now, it's pointless because you have already killed others before. So it's impossible to go back at what you were before. And that's why I admire even Hanji's courage to admit that she has already done this. And it's not something new. It's not something that we have never done. It's not that our consciousness is clean. No, we did something bad before. And if this purpose, because that's the point of everything, if the purpose is, I don't want to say more important than these lives, but yeah, almost like this. I mean, if the purpose is definitely on another level than what's going to happen now, anyway, you have to choose. You can't stay in the middle. You can't pretend to think that by staying in the middle, things can be solved. This is the cruel world they are living in. They can't avoid this. If they think that staying in the middle is the choice, it means that first of all that they can't change anything and things can repeat all over again. And second of all, they're not going to find a way to go out from the cruel world no matter what because they are keep being stuck over there. So I know that this decision is hard to take, but it has to be taken somehow. And the great thing here is to be honest with yourself. It's so unfair to play the role of the saints, the people who have never done something bad, the people that, no. They are just, I mean, Hanji is recognizing their true identity that is starting from season 3, part 1. And I'm going to analyze that moment too because yesterday I was checking that episode clearly, point after point. So I'm going to talk about it later. But absolutely, after season 3, part 1, they understood their place in the world and they understood what they were doing. So then, of course, by discovering that the titans they have always killed were coming from human beings, they have always killed human beings since season 1. So I understand that right now it's hard for them to kill the Jaegerists, but in previous episodes they killed even pixies. So there is a great difference between pixies and the Jaegerists, but they did that. Even if he was transformed into a Titan, they did that. So I really like Hanji and her honesty by saying, "Look, we did it already. I mean, I did it already. So I don't want to hide myself behind a transparent corner." It happened. So, and then Megath is going to confront Yelena once again. No? And Yelena, look, oh, once again, like I said in the previous analysis, it's like as if Yelena doesn't have an identity. And every time she has to get in touch with somebody to try to find herself, to try to find a place in the world for herself. Because that's what happened even with Zeke. Because we know that she invented the story that she was that her village was attacked by Marley. She did that even with Eren because she thought that by following Eren, she could have had a privileged space. I mean, she could have been at the right shoulder of the Jaeger brothers. She found these place in the world even now because she is desperate. You know that she's crying. She's saying that she's ready to tell Magath and all the others where Eren is. So, as you can see, Yelena demonstrates us that she's pretty fragile as a character. Even if we saw that she was brutal, that she was making something really disgusting before, but at the end of the day, you see this side of her personality that is showing us how, yeah, fragile, how, I don't know, how lonely she can be. And the fact that she always needs somebody next to her to create her identity. Wow, it's like as if she is not able to fight for her own will. I mean, she's not able to stand up and say, "No, I will not tell you where Eren is because I devoted myself to them." Or I mean, to the Jaeger brothers or to Eren or to Zeke, whatsoever. No, she is always afraid to lose her place in the world. So every time it's better to switch to go where it's more convenient. So I can still be alive. And in fact, she's saying, at this point, I will tell you where Eren is because I want to see how this thing will end. So it's like as if this fear to die is is increasing inside of her so much that is even ready to betray her own self to be there, to stay there and see what's going to happen. Because every time it's like as if Yelena wants to take the side of the people who are winning. As you noticed, when Zeke was winning, Yelena was there. Oh, I stay with the Zeke. That's great. When Eren was winning, let's say, I mean, he was having the control on everything. Oh, Eren is so great. Eren, you're special, etc., etc. Now that it's convenient to stay on this side, okay, I am going to tell you where Eren is. As you can see, she's always going where it's convenient when it's when there is the hope that she can win by staying on their side. And this makes you understand that her personality is poor because she doesn't have this stability inside of herself to say, okay, no matter what's going to happen, I'm going to stay on their side or on his side or her side. No, she is always changing as much as she's understanding, she's perceiving the fact that something is going wrong here and she has to save herself. Um, but let me tell you, when Megath is um, trying to convince her. I mean, he is asking, he's demanding her to tell them where Eren is. Yet, even in this case, these almost a torturing procedure reminded me of a season 3 part 1. Once again, season 3 part 1 is really present in this episode. But in season 3 part 1, if you remember, when there was before the coup d'etat, Hanji and Levi were torturing these men that is still there in Hanji's memories. You remember that? And over there, they were torturing him. They were telling him that they are going to cut all his nails. Do you remember? Yeah, I remember this thing because even at that time, Hanji and Levi, they wanted to ask this person if he could tell them things about the coup d'etat, things that were going wrong inside the Paradise. And that's what Magath is doing right now. He is trying to get info from Yelena to understand where Eren is. So I could see this contraposition when we were talking about tortures, because even Magath is saying something like this. Yeah, I remember when he was doing something like this that is comparable with the season 3 part 1, because even at that time they were hopeless, so they needed info as much as possible. um, but then Magath, after he was going berserk like this, he is looking up and he's seeing Gabi. Look, I think that Megathy has a great empathy towards Gabi recently, because it's already the third time that we see that every time that he's seeing Gabi, he's having like a sort of epiphany. I mean, he is getting in touch with an absolute truth, or he's getting in touch with his mistakes that he made before. And when he's seeing right now Gabi that is climbing those rocks, I think that he's still remembering the moment. I mean, Magath is remembering the moment in which he sent Gabi in episode 1 of season 4, when you see that in order to rescue, I mean, in order to win the Fortress Lava's battle, you see that Gabi is a volunteer. I mean, she wants to go. She says, "Oh, look, I'm going. I'm the best here, so let me go." And Magath at that time, he said, "Okay, go." At the beginning he said, "Oh no, but I don't think you can," and then Gabi is convincing him. So when now he's seeing that Gabi is climbing those rocks, it reminds me, yeah, when Gabi was risking, sorry, her life to save all of them, and Megadeth at that time sent a child to do something like this. So at that time, he didn't feel guilty for what he was doing, but right now, more than ever, especially after what happened in the previous episode, he is having a moment in which, "Whew, how am I supposed to not redeem myself from everything that happened to these kids?" Because anyway, it was always his fault, no matter the sites. I mean, no matter if you check Falco and Gabi, no matter if you check Peak, Annie, Reiner, and all the others that they were before Gabi and Falco, no matter if you check Connie, Mikasa, Armin, Jan, because they were victims of his decisions to attack. So anyway, now Magath feels as if he is the center of all the problems. Because if that day he didn't send Reiner, Annie, Marcel, and Bertold to do what they had to do, things would have not happened. If he didn't send Falco and Gabi, maybe think they could have had a different life. If he didn't attack, even Mikasa, Armin, Jan, and Connie could have had another type of life. So as you can see, Magath right now is reaching the limit in which he is keeping analyzing himself, and he keeps understanding that everything that he has done before was totally wrong. That It was because of old generation, his generation, and even the previous generations, that his brain was contaminated by these thoughts, and he was making the same mistake by repeating all these and trying to indoctrinate even these kids, these young kids, to do the same. So let me tell you, I think that by looking at Gabi, and by thinking once again what happened to Fortislava, he is saying, "Look, I am such a bad person because I sent Gabi that day, and I did it for my purposes only." Once again, you needed to check this story, not because some things are good, some things are bad, some things are correct, some things are wrong, etc., etc. When you check this story, you need to put into your mind the fact that the purpose is the thing. I mean, all these characters have a purpose. And no matter if this purpose is good or is wrong, no matter if the intentions to reach this purpose are good or wrong, you need to understand that the purpose is, I mean, to have a purpose is the main characteristic of a human being. Because we all have purposes in life. And these purposes can be accepted by others or not, but it's our purpose. So we all know that as human beings, we have a great power inside ourselves that is making a difference between us and animals, for example. But even in other stories, we saw that it's always remarked this immense power we have as human beings. That means to keep struggling, to keep going ahead until we reach that purpose, until we reach that goal. It was said in all stories I've watched so far on the channel. Every time this was said, and every time this was mm, elevated as a great characteristic of human beings, a great power that human beings have, etc. Even in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, do you remember when Ohenheim is talking to Father and he's saying the same thing? Look, you are immortal, but you needed to remember the greatness of human beings and whatsoever. I mean, the purpose that can let you make bad choices? Yes, definitely. But it's the purpose that matters. And we, as human beings, as selfish human beings, are ready to go ahead or to go beyond everything in order to reach that purpose. So that's how you should see this story, in my opinion. Then if we have to stay here and say every time they made something good or something bad, we it's never ending, because we have to analyze all the intentions of everyone, we have to analyze all the purposes of everyone, and it takes lots of time. But that's why I'm saying even Magath had his purposes to do what he did. But the great thing is to analyze those things he made, understand the mistakes he made, redeem himself for them, and start a new chapter of his life. So this is the most important thing. And I think, look, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that even Eren, before dying, will understand everything that happened or everything that he did. Or he will understand or he will redeem himself about something. I still don't believe that Eren is happy with what he's doing. I still believe that Eren feels anyway sad for the decisions he made, but there's no turning back. He has to move forward. And this is something else. Then Magath, he's saying sorry to everyone. He's redeeming himself for his mistakes. I really like the moment in which he was begging in front of everyone. I mean, especially to Connie, John, Mikasa, and Armin. I think that was a great gesture that he made, especially after what happened the night before. That could let him understand that he was presumptuous at the beginning and he was just acting as if the justice was on his side only, where actually there is not justice anywhere here because there is only one justice in this story, the justice that is staying on the side of each character. I mean, each character thinks that he is right with what he is doing, so it's unfair and not easy to pick just one justice and say, oh, that's the absolute justice, that's the absolute true one, all the others don't matter. No, all characters have one justice on his or her side, and they think that they are right to pursue this goal in that way. But Megadeth is understanding that justice was not on his side at that time, and he was just acting as if he was the great one, as if there was no other option. But it's a thanks to the dialogue, it's a thanks to communication, it's a thanks to those sharing moments they had in the previous episode that Megadeth is having this disillusion, as I was telling you. And as much as Reiner was apologizing, as much as Gabi was apologizing, now was Megadeth's turn. It was his turn to step back and understanding that it's just another side and we should respect the other side because that side, that means Paradise and all the people and what those people felt, were just so common, were just so similar to what Megadeth felt on the other side. So what Megadeth is saying to them is emotional, is pretty mature, and I think that Megadeth proved us that he was a great character too, that he could go beyond his limits, that he put to him in front of himself. I mean, he decided to put these limits in front of himself. Nobody else did rather than himself by choosing to follow whatever these people were telling him in the previous generations. So that was a great turning point. And as much as I admired when Reiner was apologizing for everything that he did, as much as Gabi, I appreciated so much Gabi's evolution, I definitely appreciate even Megadeth because I think that he made a great job. And I was expecting this. I mean, in the previous episode, as soon as he saw Gabi redeeming herself in front of John, at that time protecting a previous generation, that means Reiner, as soon as he saw that moment, he got it. I mean, he said, okay, I got it. I made a mistake. Gabi shouldn't apologize for me. I should apologize for her and for what happened to all of these people. So it was so great because he was saying sorry to everyone indistinctively. So this was a great step forward. Also because he was talking about this unfair past that was causing troubles to the present time, and it's always like this. People, it's like as if people don't want to break the chain they have with the past. And let me tell you, somehow it's something wrong to do. I mean, you shouldn't break the chain that is connecting yourself with the past because you need to know that if you're what you are right now, it's also thanks to the past actions. But on the other side is wrong because as soon as you are stuck into the past things and what happened in the past, there's the chance that you're going to perpetrate even in the present time the same mistakes as for what happened in the past. So as you can see, it depends how you see things. But I think Megadeth shouldn't forget what happened in the past, but shouldn't repeat what happened in the past. Do you understand what I mean? And that's what happened actually. He made a mistake, he recognizes, and now he doesn't want to repeat it anymore. So that's simply great. Mm, and he's admitting it in front of everyone. He while he's saying that the good thing is that it's nice not to repeat the same mistakes all over again. And if this is the most important thing he recognized, he needs now to show these to the new generations. They have to cooperate for the new generations. And if that's the great way in which they can do so, that's simply fine. And that's why I agree with these aliens, because as I was telling you in the previous episode, for the previous episode, these aliens can make a difference because of these. I mean, right now that they have found the things in common, right now that they have found a way to get all in touch with one another and to express their pain, understand that the pain can be common because of the different sides, but because of the same consequences. These aliens is coherent to me for the same reason why Magath is saying, let's not repeat what happened in the past. We should help the new generations understanding this. Yeah, these aliens is done also for this, to change things. If we don't start from one thing to change all the other things, then it's pointless. I mean, people who didn't understand these aliens are also the people who didn't want Eren to destroy the world and repeat the same mistakes as before, right? So I think these aliens is good for this reason, because it will help people to change the course of events, the course of the future events. Um, and that's also what Magath wants. He wants to change things now more than ever. And by staying next to all these people, especially the Paradise people, he is letting you understand that he's admitting and he's able to change inside himself. And this change can be transmitted to the future generations too. So this is awesome. These aliens could create the disillusion of Magath. If there was not these aliens, Magath would have gone ahead thinking what he was thinking 2 episodes before. So you needed to see even the positive sides of these aliens, not just the negative ones, not just the incoherence. No, it's not incoherent. All the fans of Shingeki no Kyojin thought that it was something good to interrupt the loop, to change things for better. And now that they are going to do so, why do you complain? I mean, this is what I don't understand. These aliens is the hope for something changing for the future. Of course, we know that it's impossible for everyone to stay alive in this, because it would be too good to be true. Somebody has to sacrifice himself or herself for the sake of the new generations. It happened, and it's impossible that the world can change even after Eren's death. I mean, it's impossible that wars are going to end, that everyone is going to understand the other one, etc., etc., etc. It's not possible. But the premises are good, because there is already one thing that happened in the past. That means it is death, because now I'm talking as if I am in the future already. Something happened already that makes us understand that even if wars can keep going ahead, even if wars will never stop, now we know how to try to contrast these wars by making alliances, by talk more, by sharing info, and this is already a step forward. It's anyway a way to try to defeat the forest, no matter if the forest will always be there as a threatening thing, trying to catch these people, try to trick these people, try to temptate these people, and whatsoever. But now, thanks to these aliens, they already have a way. They have already experienced that these aliens is not something incoherent or something bad. It has also great consequences. Um, Even Megadeth is taking this responsibility, and he is asking the Paradise people not to do anything, because they are just the victims of all this, and they are just over there in the middle of a situation that they have never wanted to create. But Armin is saying, no, I refuse to do so. And he's saying, I don't want to look other people making their hands dirty and feel as if I have a clean consciousness, and feel that I have clean hands just by looking, just by checking over there, and feel feeling good because I didn't be part of that. Yeah, these, I open a bracket. Uh, I agree with what Armin is saying. I think this statement was simply awesome, because this is how to act. I mean, if Armin and all the others didn't want to join in this project of the Jaegerists and whatsoever, they could have felt a coward later. I mean, it's good that they are also deciding what to do, because they are part of that cruel world. They can't avoid this. I mean, they can't avoid the fact that they are part of it. They can't avoid the fact that they are living things with a brain, and they have to think what to do for themselves. It's so bad to see that other people are going to sacrifice themselves and they are going to stay over there just by looking. No, by being a part of that cruel world, they have also the right to choose. So I agree with what Armin is saying. They also have to choose. They also have to be part of this. Um, then no matter what they decide to do, but it's really important that they still can decide, because by having this free will, as I was telling you, the free will is an important power that human beings have, because they have the power to choose what to do with their lives. And this can create a great consequence or a bad one, but you will never know until you try. So as you can see, this free will is essential now more than ever, because it depends on their free will, it depends on their choices to understand how the story can go on. And when Armin is saying this a thing, yes, now more than ever, it reminds me, mm, season 3, part 1, episode 2. I went yesterday back to watch it, and definitely since that moment, as I was telling you before, Armin is no more the same. I mean, if you check that episode and if you check the moment in which Armin is shooting to protect Jan, at that time, after what happened, they were all around. Even at that time, they were all around, and Armin felt so guilty. I mean, he was asking Jan why he shot before before the counterpart. And at that time, in season 3, part 1, Armin was listening what Levi was saying to him. And Levi was already anticipating season 4, because Levi at that time was saying, look, you made your hands dirty and you shot first because the other one, the counterpart, was hesitating. And you decided to you decided to shoot the counterpart because the purpose was there. I mean, the purpose at that time was to save John, was to save your comrades. So you made your hands becoming dirty, full of blood, let's say, because you had someone to protect. You had dear people to protect. So it's because of you shooting over there at that time that we are all alive. So thank you, Armin. As you can see, even in that case, it depends how you see things. Because, of course, if you see things from one perspective, you understand that Armin killed a person for the first time, and he was not used to do so. But then, if you see things from another perspective, you see that what Armin did was something good, because he could protect his friends, he could protect the people he loves. So that's what Eren is doing, actually. I mean, he is killing the entire humanity for that purpose. That is different in proportions, but it's almost the same as what happened in season 3, part 1, when Armin was feeling guilty, but he was doing this to save his friends. So what Levi told him at that time, especially even when John is replying to Levi at that time, and he is saying, "Look, but this was something wrong, was something good to do." And Levi was saying, "No, look, I'm not here to tell you what's good and what's wrong. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm just telling you the evidence that we are all alive already, that we are still alive, and it's a thanks to Armin. Otherwise, John, you would have been dead." So from that moment, Levi was simply honest to Armin, and he was telling him, "Armin, look, you will never be able to come back as what you were before. Now you have changed forever." So when going back to the episode of now, when Armin is refusing what Magath is saying, is because he is admitting to himself, as much as Hanji did, that this happened already, that even Armin killed other people before, and especially when he transformed as a colossal titan in the Liberius attack. But he is already dirty inside. His consciousness is already dirty, so it's not a matter of numbers. I mean, it's not that if we spare now the Jaegerists, we can become better people. Yeah, for some reasons this could be, but on the other side, it's just becoming hypocrite, because you saved the Jaegerists, but you didn't save all the civilians who were killed in the Liberio attack, for example. So even Armin is conscious that his consciousness is dirty already since season 3, part 1. Actually, since season 1. Because once they discovered that these titans were human beings, actually they were killing human beings since the day one, okay, not just the season 3 part, since season 3 part 1, but the difference is that in season 3 part 1, as much as for now, Armin and all the others are killing people from inside the paradise. So as much as when they kill the pixies, yeah. And even at that time, he felt guilty. Yes, but he had to. So as you can see, there is a great connection with the season 3 part 1. I suggest you to go and check it out before, if you didn't, because that's a great connection, definitely. Then we move ahead, and there is a flock that is jump right into the next scene, and he is with Kiyomi Azumabito, because he thinks, and he is saying it honestly, that even Hizuru will be rumbled. I mean, the rumbling will reach even the Hizuru area, and everything will be destroyed over there too. But Flock is threatening her, because he's always saying that Kiyomi has to understand her place right now. She needs to understand that she's under Flock and under the Jaegerists, and she has to do what the Jaegerists are telling her to do. So Flock is intimidating her, is threatening her, but definitely Kiyomi is saying something amazing, something that I also agree, and I have already told you many times throughout the analysis of these part 2 episodes. She is saying Paradise is not safe. I mean, if you think that Paradise is safe, you're just dreaming. I mean, what she's saying right now, immediately after, is a masterpiece sentence, in my opinion, because she's saying, "You're just making the world smaller." That is totally coherent with my thought. Yes. Just because Eren is killing all humanity, the rest of humanity on the other side of the ocean, that doesn't mean that the problems are over. I told you already many times. Just because he's doing something like this, that doesn't mean that he will avoid wars inside of Paradise, or between the people of Paradise. That doesn't mean that he will avoid all other corruption, violence, whatsoever that is coming even after his death. So what Kiyomi is saying right now is totally correct. Just because you are reducing the proportion of all these, that doesn't erase the problems. themselves, and it's correct. It's like a microcosmos instead of a macro one. I mean, the world, I mean, a paradise at the beginning of this story was like a microcosmos. I mean, it was like a micro earth, a tiny earth inside of these walls where humanity was living, and where people thought that humanity was there only because they were all surrounded by titans and whatsoever. So paradise at the beginning of this story was like a micro version of the world right now, right? So what Kiyomi is saying is that, as much as we saw in season 3 part 1, actually, even over there, even Paradise at that time was having a coup d'etat. I mean, it was a microcosmos. It was a micro planet, or a micro situation, a micro proportion. And what Kiyomi is saying right now is correct, because now it's happening the same thing. I mean, if you wanted to exterminate the rest of humanity, the humanity that is left, that means the people living in paradise, are already creating a problem right now inside of paradise by demanding, by ordering, by submitting others. So, as you can see, the problems are still there. So, you're not going to create a safe paradise, or you're not going to create a safety for the new generations by doing something like this. You're just reducing the proportion, but the problems are still there. So I totally agree with what Kiyomi is saying. um, and then the flock is making a step back, because he's saying, okay, okay, at this point we don't even need your technology. We can get rid of it, because we can also think that it's too elevated as a technology, that we can give up on this because we don't need it. As you can see, Flock is changing his mind as soon as somebody else is going against what he has to say. So what Kiyomi is saying right now is totally true. He keeps demanding, he keeps ordering others, and these things that he's doing are not going to change. No matter if humanity, the rest of humanity will be there or not, he is already causing another trouble inside the paradise. And these, the more it will go on, the worse it will be, because he is always imposing his will on others. He is creating this tension that can take us to another war, no matter if the rest of humanity is alive or not. So this microcosmos that is created because of the Jaegerists, and because of Eren, actually, is pointless. I told you this many, many, many times. Eren is following his purpose, and of course he has a purpose. But this purpose is creating negative consequences no matter what. It's creating something that is not changing anything at the end of the day. By reducing the problem, you're not erasing it. It's still there. So uh, I think that what Flock is doing is totally wrong. And let me tell you one thing. Yesterday, I went back to check the Eren's speech that he was making some episodes ago. And at that time, they were showing us Flock's face. So there was like a. So Flock was telling lies when he was telling to Jan, Mikasa, Armin, and all the others that I'm just following what Eren was telling me, because many months ago I already knew Eren's project. No. If you go back to check Eren's speech when he's saying to all the people of Ymir, my name is Eren Yeager, etc., etc., you see that Flock's face is like this. I mean, if he knew already many months before what was happening, because he knew Eren's plan, he wouldn't make that face, don't you think? So that makes you understand that Flock is not a person that we can trust here. I mean, everything that he's saying is just because he wants to follow his own purposes only, his personal interests only, as much as all the other characters, of course. And that's why Flock is on the same level as all the others, because, as I was telling you, all characters have purposes, no matter if we like them or not. All these characters, by having purposes, are ready to fulfill those goals no matter what. No matter if these can cause traumas or troubles to others or not. They are all the same. And then Flocky keeps saying, "Look, you need to understand your place to Kiyomi. That means you are under us." And I told you already in the previous episode, even if Eren is going to exterminate all humanity, and Paradise only can survive, all the population inside of Paradise can survive, there is already another hierarchy. Until there will be hierarchies, there will not be freedom. And that's why this makes you understand that what Eren wants is not what Flock wants. Eren wants the freedom from slavery of the Yumi no Tami. He wants to save his friends. I mean, he has great proposals, okay? But he's doing it in the wrong way, because he's exterminating whole humanity by thinking that by let them become free, these Yumi no Tami are free to live the F they want. I mean, the life they want, as much as they like. No, because on the other side, Eren is not understanding that Flock is creating another hierarchy, other impositions, etc., etc., etc. So this freedom is bye bye, see you next time. Do you understand what I mean? If you really want to search freedom, freedom is based on non-impositions, and that's why even our real world is not free. I mean, we can't be free even in our real world as much as we think, because as soon as there are hierarchies, freedom is gone. Flock is creating hierarchies, so there is no freedom. Nobody can go against the flock, otherwise the flock is going to order the others to kill them. This is totalitarianism. This is not the freedom. Oh, and then Armin is jumping right into the scene by repeating the same strategy that he was using to convince Annie in season one. So you understand that what Annie was telling him before at the beginning of the episode was quite inspirational, because it's thanks to her that he could get in touch in his mind with this plan of his by repeating exactly what he did with Annie. This time, Flock is the victim. At that time, in season one, Annie was the victim. I mean, he makes Flock believing that he is staying on his side, that he has to stop the bomb that he wants to activate on the flying boat, etc., etc., etc. I mean, it's a leitmotiv. Armin is just repeating the same thing that he did with Annie in season one. He's trying to deceive Flock. He is trying to let him think that he needs Flock's help as much as at that time he needed Annie's help. It's a repetition. So Armin is not even thinking of something super amazing, something we have never seen before. No, he's just repeating the same scenes, the same things. Um, and he is asking help from Flock as much as he asked the help from Annie in season one. But it was just a way to trick her. We all know that. And then in the meantime, that he is trying to convince Flock, and then Armin and Connie are moving next to the port where there is that ship, where there is the bomb that has to be stopped. Connie and Armin, they meet Daz and Samuel. Okay, so first of all, they in this episode, the greatness of this episode, let's say, is that at the end of the day, all of them are the same. Now I'm trying to explain what I mean. Armin and Connie are living a traumatizing moment right now because they have in front of them two friends, and they have to lie to them. They have to do their best to convince them and to keep going on with their lies. The way to keep going on with their lies is to use a great facial expression that is fake, to use convincing words that are fake, to use fake smiles, to keep repeating that it's not what they think, that it's not what Daz and Samuel are thinking. That, I mean, it's like as if they are living a trauma, and they will never forget this trauma. I'm pretty sure they will always remember the moment in which they were tricking their friends, they were lying to their friends in this way. And don't you remember something? I mean, I match right now the scene we are analyzing right now with the title of the episode, Traders. Right now, Connie and Armin are doing the same thing that Reiner and Bertold did in season one and now also in season two. They keep lying. And look, I don't think it's just a coincidence because Armin is the colossal titan and he ate Bertold. So great, Isayama, you're making these things matching in the perfect way. But anyway, Armin and Connie are the new Reiner and Bertold, and one is a blonde hair, and the other one has, let's say, black hair as much as a Bertold and Reiner. No, okay, this is a coincidence, but from this you understand that Armin and Connie are understanding for the first time what Reiner and Bertold felt at that time when they had to lie for months, for years. That is even worse. Here in this episode, they have to lie for minutes. But Reiner and Bertold had to lie to them for years, for months. And Armin and Connie are facing the difficulty to lie. I mean, Armin did it already with Annie in season one when he was trying to deceive her. He was trying to trick her to follow him, etc., etc. But here we are talking about the dear friends, and from Reiner and Bertold's point of view at that time, these people that right now are betraying others were friends. They were considering them friends because at that time they felt so greatly over there with them. They spent lots of time together, and we all know that Reiner was having this double personality, let's say, that was caused by this trauma. And Armin and Connie right now are feeling the same trauma. And I think that this is like a sort of a karma because at that time they felt betrayed by Reiner and Bertold without understanding their feelings. And right now they are supposed to do the same thing. And right now, Daz and Samuel are not understanding them as much as they were not understanding Reiner and Bertold and the reason why they were doing this. So this episode is awesome because you have the chance to see the same characters as for season one and season two, that right now they are living the same experience. They are becoming the same traders as much as the traders of season two. And these, you know, that it was pretty emotional, it was pretty painful, and it was pretty emotional and pretty painful also for Connie and Armin. There is not a difference. Right now, they are on the traders' side, but they have reasons. As much as Reiner and Bertolda, we now know that they had their own reason to do what they did. This is awesome because it's all about perspectives. This story has to be seen thanks to the purposes of each character and thanks to the perspective of each character. And these perspectives are not wrong. If you check them as singular, I mean, if you check each character and its purpose, you can't tell them, oh no, look, it's wrong. No, because all of them, they have this purpose in common to save the dear people of them. So it's not wrong. But if you see the consequences, then you can judge. Then you can say, ah, okay, it was simply wrong to do something like this. But if you check each perspective and each purpose of each character, you can't blame them. Maybe we would have done the same. Maybe. Um, and these smiles that are simply fake, they are creepy because even Armin or Connie who are making this sort of smile. No, 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 don't worry. It's yeah, creepy to watch, and I really like that this moment was underlined in this way. I like how Mappa was even cutting half of the face just to leave the smile, to see how fake it was, as much as the eyes, that they were always rolling around to say, can I escape from this situation right now? No, you can't. Armin and Connie, you can't escape from that moment because you decided to join. You decided, thanks to your free will, to join. And when you decide something, you can't go back as before. This decision is going to change everything. And in fact, it happened. Um, and Samuel is saying, I don't know what I could do if I discover that you're betraying us. That's the worst thing to hear in that moment, especially if you know that you are a culprit. I mean, especially if you know that what these friends of yours are saying right now in front of you is the truth. You feel like a piece of shit, let me tell you. I mean, you feel so bad. You feel you feel guilty. You feel dirty. So when we are talking about dirtiness, and when we talk about make our hands dirty, it's not just physically speaking. I mean, it's not just feeling dirty because of the blood you're going to spread. You feel even guilty or you feel dirty even inside yourself, psychologically speaking. And that's what's happening here with Connie and Armin. They are not even spreading blood already, but they are guilty, they are feeling dirty as a consciousness. And this is even worse, let me tell you, because the blood can be washed away, but the consciousness stays over there and can create, yeah, trauma that is really, really difficult, let's say impossible to erase from your soul, from your consciousness. The guilt you feel will never fade away. As much as Reiner, look at Reiner. I mean, years passed and he still feels guilty for Marco. He still feels guilty because he feels that everything is caused because of him. Reiner is what will happen to Armin in the future. I mean, Armin is the future representation of Reiner because even Reiner has never forgotten. And even Armin and Connie will never forget. This is even more than a curse. And this way to feel dirty inside yourself, let me tell you, as I told you, it's even worse than the blood that is spread in front of you. And there is this great tension in the meantime. Samuel was saying that sentence. There was this tension that is the same tension that we felt 2 episodes ago when Connie and Falco were there and they were looking each other. The same tension that is raising more and more. And I really like it, to be honest. Absolutely. Um, and The way in which Armin keeps convincing them makes you understand once again that if the purpose is there, and if you believe in that purpose, and there is no other choice, in your opinion, to fulfill that goal, you are ready to do everything, even lying to your friends, even betraying them, even becoming the worst person ever from their perspective. But from your perspective, you think that you're doing the right thing. So, as you can see, the perspective matters. And then, okay, and then we keep going ahead. Okay. Boom. Okay. And then we keep going ahead because does he keeps going ahead thinking using his mouth. I mean, he's saying lots of coherent things, and he keeps saying all the things that actually they are doing because they are doing what he's saying, but they can't confirm him that he is true. And at that time, if you focused on this, you saw that once Daz keeps saying that thing, and Armin and Connie keeps saying the contrary, they are shooting. I mean, they are showing us the birds flying in the sky that they are going they like this. I mean, they are not going all in the same direction. Usually, birds, when they are all together and they are all the same type of bird, usually they like to go together in one direction only, right? Because they are all friends. They are all the same type of birds, right? But in this moment, you see that the birds are shooting. I mean, they they are shown us as if the birds are going like this. They are all going around one against the other one, and it's a bad sign. And in fact, we see later what happened. But this is great because once again, you have the parallelism between birds and people. And you see that there is always a natural reference to this. As much as what happened in the previous episode with the forest, here it's happening with the birds. There is always a symbolic connection with what's happening. And that's what I simply love, as always, you know that. Flock, in the meantime, he's thinking, no, no, there's something strange here. And it's different because Annie at that time, okay, yeah, she was convinced by Armin, but even at that time, Annie thought that there was something strange. So she was already thinking that Armin was tricking her somehow. And even Flock here has the same premonition. I mean, he's thinking something is wrong here. Um, and he prefers to kill these engineers no matter what. I mean, he prefers to kill them instead of reaching the proof because he's saying, oh, there is no proof here that what I'm thinking right now is right. But anyway, let's kill them because instead of thinking something and then I realized that I was a trick, it's better to kill all these engineers so they can't help them to use the flying boat and I can go ahead in the meantime with my plan. So Flock based his actions on his sixth sense or based on his instincts and he thought that what he was doing was correct and actually he was true. I mean, mm, he was just betrayed by Armin, definitely. But Kiyomi, at that time, she's stopping him. Okay, now I open a bracket because many people were criticizing this scene in particular. I mean, they were saying that, oh, no, 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 it's not realistic. It's impossible. Kiyomi now, she's stopping Flock. What the F? No, why do you say something like this? I mean, guys, you need to remember that Kiyomi has never shown anything to us. Kiyomi Is a pretty mysterious character, don't you think? So I don't understand why fans are complaining because Kiyomi suddenly stood up and stopped the flock. We don't know her potentials. We don't know her strength because she has never shown her strength to us. She was always there like this. I mean, she was always talking. She was always thinking what to do and stuff like that. But she has never shown us if she was able to fight or not until this moment. So there's not an incoherence. It's just that in this moment, Kiyomi, that she felt that her life and the life of her engineers was definitely in danger, she decided to reveal her strength. And I tell you one more thing, actually, because Kiyomi is saying, listen carefully, I will not die without fighting. Look, this is an important statement because it's a thanks to this statement that you understand. And then there is even the connection because Mikasa is coming in that moment to save her and to save all the engineers. But this makes you understand, and this is just my opinion, of course, that Mikasa doesn't take her strength just from the Ackerman side. Because a person like a Kiyomi that is saying, I will not die without fighting, that's the principle that Mikasa says over and over again, right? I mean, even in her case, even in Mikasa's case, she will never die until she will fight. And that's a great principle that Mikasa has shown us since season one. So all the people, including myself, but all of us who thought that Mikasa was taking her strength and was revealing her strength just because it was an Ackerman side, I don't think so. I think that just because Kiyomi didn't show us the strength of the Azumabito, in action, I mean, but she was always surrounded by somebody else who was fighting for her. That doesn't mean that the Azumabito didn't have the strength, a particular strength that we didn't know. And in fact, Mikasa is both an Ackerman, but he's also descending from Hizuru. He's also descending from the Azumabito. So, what if the strength Mikasa has is a great combination, a great combo between the two? This is interesting. We shouldn't forget what Kiyomi said right now. I will not die until I fight. Or without, sorry, I will not die without fighting. That makes you understand that even the Azumabito, maybe they have this principle or they have this great strength that they can reveal in the worst moments. And this actually is what happened to Mikasa many times. When there was the moment in which she felt hopeless, she found that moment of strength that was simply incredible. That everybody was thinking that it was coming from the Ackerman side because she's an Ackerman. Yes, of course, it's true. But it can also come from that side we have never imagined or we have never understood because Kiyomi was always a mysterious character. But if you notice, Mikasa, when he's attacking these Jaegerists, she's not killing them. She's just attacking them. Because it makes you understand the coherence that she was having, Mikasa, Jan, Connie, etc., that they don't want to kill them. They just want to stop them, that it's different. I think that even Mikasa doesn't want to kill any of them. But if she can attack them instead, so they can be stopped, that's already a great thing. And then the flock is opening the window. No, I mean, he's coming out from the window. And he's saying that Connie, Mikas, and Armin are traitors. I mean, they betrayed Eldia. Okay, he keeps saying Eldia. Oh, Flock. Oh my. Okay, Eldia. And he wants that they are killed. Um, and another scene that we see is that Kiyomi is saved by an enemy, by Megas. And she felt surprised too, let me tell you, because you all know that Kiyomi wanted her personal revenge on Marley, definitely, and that's why she helped the Paradise. But that was great to see, even in this case, that Megath is helping Kiyomi. Without the previous episode, this was simply impossible. Without Megath disillusion and without Megath understanding everything that happened as much as Gabi, as much as Reiner, as much as everyone before him, this couldn't have been possible. So these aliens could help Megath to shine, could help Megath to create a great development as a character. Actually, this is what happened. And in fact, now Megath is helping an enemy, is helping Kiyomi. This could have never happened before the previous episode. So the previous episode was already the big deal of everything. Okay, then does that he heard Flock and his comments, he's starting with the bomb once again. He's trying to turn it on. And Samuel, in the meantime, is attacking Armin. Look, Samuel knows that Armin will not die because he is the colossal titan. So it's instead of attacking Connie, that can die because he's not a titan, etc., he preferred to attack Armin. And this makes you understand that Samuel didn't want to kill them. He was just warning them, and it was the proper way to warn them, in his opinion. So he could have killed Connie, but he didn't. That was a great way to show his friendship and to believe in that friendship, to be loyal to that friendship. And in fact, Samuel then is screaming, "You have betrayed us, right?" You need. Let's open the bracket. Of course, you all know that Samuel was rescued by Sasha in season one when the colossal titan appeared. This is a great concept. This is a great coincidence. What a coincidence! I don't think so, because now Armin is the colossal titan. Okay, and there is Samuel with the new colossal titan, and he is killed by Connie. That is supposed to be the twin or the soulmate of the same person who rescued him. Hilarious. But anyway, he was rescued as much as Daz was rescued by Ymir and Krista in season 2 during the winter training. I mean, do you remember it was that the snow training that they were having at that time? Um, so you know that they were both saved in the previous seasons, but now they are going to be sacrificed because of that purpose they had right now. That means to reach Eren, to try to stop Eren, and to save humanity. But Samuel is also reminding Connie the promise they made to each other. And the promise was to conquer lots of lands and to eat lots of meat. And as soon as Samuel is talking about meat, is talking about the promise, etc., 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 the eyes of Connie are getting even more desperate than before, because you need to remember that we are still talking about Sasha. Look, Sasha was killed in episode 8 of this fourth season, and we are still talking about her. There are still lots of references about her, as if she's not dead, as if she's still there, because she was the twin of Connie. She was the soulmate of Connie, and these things makes you understand how a character like Sasha, who was supposed to be the most hilarious one, the laughable one, etc., etc., is one of the most important characters of this part. But let me tell you another thing, dear Samuel. You are telling Connie and Armin that a promise that meant to conquer lands and eat lots of meat altogether. But when you were making that promise, we were in season one. And in season one, sorry, no, you and we at this point, we all thought that humanity was confined into walls only. So we have never thought that there was a humanity even outside the walls. We have never thought that those titans were coming from human beings anyway. We have never thought that the other lands were having inhabitants, were having humanity too. So now what you, Samuel, wants to do is totally different compared to the first season. Things are changed. And at this point, Samuel is still stuck in that vision of season one, and that's the problem. The problem is that things changed, that you discovered many other things that are not the same as before. So, right now, Armin and Connie have a different vision from Samuel because Samuel is still stuck in that the promise of season one. But Armin and Connie went already on the other side of the ocean, so already how is the other side of the ocean. Samuel didn't, or maybe even if he did, it was during the Liberius attack, but he also saw that things are different right now. So, Samuel, you're making, let's say, a mistake because I understand your promise and I understand you're betrayed, but you're still stuck in season one. Armin and Connie have already a different perspective of things. They already care about the humanity that still lives also on the other side of the ocean, and they are similar as you are because you are all human beings. There are no titans anymore. I mean, there is not this myth of the titans that are going to eat the humanity that was supposed to be inside of the walls. So that's why Connie is saying, no, look, we are still friends. I mean, he is coherent. Connie is coherent because you are still friends, but you don't understand that right now things changed. Even our perspective of humanity, even our perspective on the purpose is different. While before there was the Shinzo Sasageo, because there was humanity who was trying to defend itself against the Titans, now humanity is extended. I mean, the proportion of humanity is different. And there are no more the Titans because the main problems now are not the Titans. The Titans are no more the enemies of this story. Human beings are the enemies of themselves. So Samuel is just a nostalgic. He is just remembering something that doesn't exist anymore. So he is a part of the Jägerist because he wants to protect the still paradise from the rest of the world. But he needs to understand that the perception of things is different and the Shinzo Sasageyo doesn't exist anymore. Because if we have to remember what the Shinzo Sasageyo means, it's to help humanity, to defend humanity against the oppression, against those who are oppressing human beings. That at that time it was a humanity, it was a titans. In this reality of season 4, other human beings are oppressing others. The Jaegerists are oppressing other people in paradise. So the Shinzo Sasageo is incoherent right now. First of all, because humanity is extended throughout the walls and even after the walls. So the principle of these aliens was to, as much as John was saying in the previous episode, I am still a member of the Chosa Hedan. The Chosa Hedan was also saying Shinzo Sasageo, of course. But the Chosa Hedan was going outside the walls to protect humanity from the oppression, from the terror. So the Shinzo Sasageo right now is super pointless because the Jaegerists right now they use the Shinzo Sasageo for a different purpose, for a different perspective of things, and it's wrong. Because if they had to follow what they were doing even in the previous seasons for real by using the real Shinzo Sasageo, they should help the rest of humanity right now. Because the real oppression right now is the rumbling, is the Titans once again. But in this case, the Jaegerists, they agree with this. They agree with this oppression. But when it was regarding them in the previous seasons, they were against the Titans because they were oppressed by them. So as you can see, it's incoherent what the Jaegerists are doing or what they are thinking. When Samuel is talking about this promise, oh, let's. Do you remember our promise? We were supposed to conquer lands. Yes, but the conquer of that time was simply different than in this time. I mean, the conquer, it was supposed to conquer continents that couldn't have a humanity. Because in the books, Armin was reading that there were those continents, but he was not expecting to find other human beings because they thought that the humanity was confined inside of these three walls. So the way to conquer these lands was supposed to be a marvelous conquer, something that everybody should be proud of these because they were conquering continents that they have never explored, that humanity has never seen before. It's different. So Samuel, so sorry to tell you, but you're wrong. Even if you feel betrayed, but everything is different now. You can't be stuck in the past. That's a mistake you are doing too. And that's something that is not going to happen now because now things have to be changed. Now things have to change. Otherwise, we are repeating the same things of the past. And if you're stuck in the past, you're not living the present time. That's what we are saying even for Magath, for example, and what Magath said later. But then Samuel is saying why everything has to happen like this. Yeah. Something like this is happening because we are living in a cruel world and because everyone has its own purpose. Something like this is happening because you are all human beings. You are all imperfect. You are all victims, but at the same time, sin. I mean, you're sinful. You're victims, but also sinful at the same time, as much as I was saying in the comments. Yes, Nissan Zaxima, each character is imperfect too, which is great and realistic. Yes, it's true. We are human beings. We are all imperfect. We are all victims. We are all victims of the system we are living even in this world. And we are all sinful because we care about ourselves only. We put the priority on us instead of all the rest of the people. So this is different. Okay. And then Reiner and Annie that are transforming. Once again, we go back to the title of the episode, Traders. Those who were traders now are still traders and they are still transforming, helping other traders. Wow. The traders of the first part that are helping the traders of the second part. The now traders, I mean, the previous traders that are helping the now traders. Wow. And that was pretty nostalgic, let me tell you. And I tell you another thing. Reiner, when he's transforming, if you noticed a little bit, it seems like when Bertold transformed in season 3, part 2. A little bit. There was this scene of Reiner going up like this and then transforming as much as Bertold in season 3, part 2, when he's transforming after talking to Armin. He's transforming. Nostalgic. I mean, this moment makes you understand that we are going that I mean we're still stuck in this cruel world because even if the things are changing and the perspectives are changing a little bit, we are still doing the same things over and over again. Wow. And then Yelena is saying another great sentence. She is saying, you can't separate humanity from violence, right, Captain? And she's referring to Levi. Because at that time, too, Levi was going against his comrades to survive. At that time, I mean, he's seeing right now Reiner and Annie transforming, especially Annie, that is the same person who killed his comrades in the forest in season one. And now Levi is in front of the same scenario because they are killing the Jaegerists, the people once in the past they were comrades too. And he can't do anything rather than looking this time because he's not able to walk, he's not able to do anything, and he is just passively looking at all these scenario. That's something crazy. And what Yelena is saying is true. You can't divide humanity from violence because that's one of the principles of the Shingeki no Kyojin's cruel world. As always, violence is dominating. As always, there is no other choice. And I connect what Yelena says with also what Kenny says. And that's why they show us Levi, and that's why Yelena is talking to Levi because even Kenny said, if there is an absolute truth in this world, is violence. He was correct. See, even Kenny, who died in season three, part one, and there is another connection at this point with the season three, part one. You see that even if Kenny died, he's still present here, as much as Sasha. Sasha died, but she's still essential even in this part. So the greatness of Isayama is that no matter if those characters are dead, we are not forgetting about them. We are not forgetting about what they were telling us, and we are not forgetting about what they were doing actually. That is reflecting on the opposite side on what these characters are doing sometimes, or they are automatically reflecting their descendants, their heritage. So this is so great. This is so important. Let me tell you. But Levi's face right now is priceless because I think Levi is really tired to live. He can't stand it anymore. I mean, he can't stand to watch these incredible scenes in which, in this case, he can't do anything to protect them. But there is no thing to protect right now because we know that they can't be protected right now. That the Jaegerists right now are going against the purposes they have, and Levi's purpose is just to reach Zeke and kill him, to be honest. More than stopping Eren, to be honest. Yeah, I think Levi's purpose is just that, to kill Zeke, because of the promise he made to Eren. And then the last scene in which Armin, that is looking like this to Daz, while Daz is simply shocked. And he is seeing that he is not stopping. I mean, Armin is going ahead, is going ahead. And Samuel is saying, "Are we not friends?" And Connie is saying, "Yes, we are friends, but I mean, he's not even finishing the sentence, but the sentence could have been finished like, but I have a purpose right now. I mean, I have something more important to do right now. That means to save humanity because I made a promise to myself that I would have never done anything better to others. I would have saved others. But right now that you're pointing me these weapons in front of me, I can't tell you, okay, kill me. No, my life means more than yours. This is selfishness, okay? My life means more than yours. My purpose means more than yours. This is selfishness. This is what human beings are, the priority on things instead of other things. And at the same time, Armin is remembering Bertold. Yes, now we understand Bertold more than ever because even in season 3, part 2, before transforming, he was saying, yeah, we are comrades, but that doesn't mean that I can't kill you. I mean, anyway, I have to kill you. Do you remember? When he was talking to Armin, actually, and Armin was provoking him, talking about Annie. And then Armin is having even the flashback of a Bertold that is saying, somebody has to do so. Somebody has to do it anyway. And somebody has to make his hands dirty somehow. Yeah. Now Armin and Connie are understanding this more than ever. Yes. That was a sentence from season 2, of course. When, anyway, Bertold and Reiner tried to capture Eren and go away. And this, of course, is connected with the season 3, part 1, with all the things that I told you. Even at that time, there were Connie, Jan, Mikasa, and Armin with Levi, who were trying to create this coup d'etat. At that time, there was a Sasha too, of course, and they were eating a Niku. Do you remember? They were eating a meat even before starting season 3, part 2. So, I mean, as I was telling you, from season 3, part 1, Armin is not the same as before. So now he understands more than ever the position of Reiner and Bertold when they were betraying them. He understands Bertold more than ever when he said that anyway, somebody has to dirty their hands before reaching the purpose, before reaching the final goal. And if oh look, in this case, Armin seems to me like a Shingeki no Kyojin in this case a little bit, because no matter the difficulty, no matter the hardship that he's living right now, he prefers to move forward no matter what. And this is a characteristic of a Shingeki no Kyojin. So I think that Armin, more than anybody else, is understanding it, and in this part. Let's see if I'm right or wrong, but I think that Armin is the only one that can understand Eren and what Eren is doing specifically, because by remembering Bertold's words, this can refer even to Eren. I mean, Eren has to dirty his hands for the purpose. That is what, even if the proportion is different, okay? But the intention is the same. So I think that Armin is the one who can understand Eren the most at the end of the story. And then Connie is killing Daz because he's afraid that he can kill Armin by shooting Armin's head. There's the chance that even Armin can be killed, can be defeated because of the neck here behind the neck, but also because of the head of the Titan, right? And then Connie doesn't stop screaming, and the trauma is there. The same trauma that Reiner felt at that time with Marco, for example. The trauma is there, and Connie is not stopping screaming while shooting even Samuel, because he feels guilty. He feels dirty. He feels dirty not just because he spread blood, as I was telling you, but he feels guilty and dirty because he has made something that he was not supposed to make. I mean, if Samuel and Daz would have heard, would have listened at least, but by not being listened and by risking his own life, there was no other choice. Unfortunately, Daz and Samuel didn't want to listen. They were just keep asking questions without even listening the answer. So there was no choice, unfortunately. And Connie's desperation is something crazy, because Samuel was rescued by Sasha, and now he is killing him. That means that time when she was rescuing him, it was pointless. I mean, it was in vain. Okay, and Daz was rescued by Ymir and Krista, I mean Historia, in season 2. So this Connie's desperation, that is, I am the one who killed these same people that were rescued by other of our comrades before. The trauma is there. So now Connie and Armin are understanding Reiner's trauma more than ever. And it's something crazy. I like this episode because they are showing you that at the end of the day they are all the same. There is not a difference. There is just a difference in purposes, but they are all human beings and they act like human beings. They act as what they are. Wow, this episode was pretty tough, and it was not difficult to analyze, but it was pretty tough to rewatch it. Yeah, a person was telling me, why you didn't cry? That was surprising. I didn't cry because I didn't feel it that I had to cry, but I really felt what was happening. And I, every time when I think that there is no other choice, yes, I cried for Pixies, for example, yes, and I didn't cry for Samuel and Daz. But Pixies had another role. I mean, Pixies, it was a thanks to Pixies that many things were starting to go ahead in the previous seasons. So Pixies was the one who also trusted Eren since the first time. And Pixies was the one who helped them growing. So it was a different thing, let's say. But even in this episode, yeah, Samuel and Daz, who are supposed to be secondary, thirdly, fourthly characters, are creating the path for the story somehow. And this is the greatness of Shingeki no Kyojin, guys, because these secondary, thirdly, fourthly characters are creating the path for the story itself, are changing things, changing the environment, changing the psychology of the main characters, are changing their attitudes. So it's simply great. I really loved this episode too, as much as I loved all these part two. So, guys, stay tuned because next Sunday I come back with the second to last episode of Shingeki no Kyojin. The last episode will be the 3rd of April, so there will be a break the 27th. And see you next Wednesday with the analysis of episode 27 or episode 86 of Shingeki no Kyojin. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the new subscribers, and see you next time. Bye. Thank you. Bye bye. See you. See you.